Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics. It's also super timely because summer's coming up and everyone wants to get toned or lean or shredded or whatever it is. We all want that beach bikini body. So before we talk about how to get that lean toned look, let's talk about what they really mean in terms of body composition. So your body weight is the sum of a few different things, right? So one is bone. Bone we don't really have much control over. The other is going to be lean mass. So that includes muscle and your organs. And then the last one is fat mass, which no one wants. I'm just kidding. So these two we can definitely play with, right? So we have control over how much muscle and how much fat mass we have. So in order, again, to get leaner, we can't really control the bone, but essentially what we want to do is increase the muscle mass and decrease the fat mass. So again, it's not necessarily about just losing weight as much as it is changing the composition and the quantities of these two things. So essentially, if you think about it, you could actually, your scale weight could stay the same or even go up while your body fat percentage goes down. So say I have 115 pounds of lean mass, I have 30 pounds of fat mass. My bone weighs 7. So my total body weight is 145, 152 pounds. Now, say I do a lot of training, whatever it is, and after 2 months, my lean mass goes up to 120, my fat mass goes down to 25, bone stays the same, so now my weight is 152. Oh no, my body weight didn't change at all, but if we do some math here, so we'll do the fat mass divided by total body weight to get body fat percentage. So we'll do 30 divided by 152. So I'm starting out here at 19.7% body fat. Now I'm going to do 25 divided by 152. And now I'm 16.4% body fat. So we can see nearly lost about 3% body fat, over 3% body fat here, and my body weight didn't change at all. So in a case like that, your body is going to look completely different. You're going to look much more toned and lean with this new physique here. So again, just wanted to clarify that getting lean, getting toned, getting shredded, all of those things don't necessarily just mean a decreased body weight. So now we're going to talk about how we can achieve this lower body fat percentage, which is in turn what we mean when we say lean and toned. So a lot of times people will use cardio as a means of losing weight, getting their goal physique, right? And they'll say these things, lean and tone, and they'll opt for cardio. Now it's important to understand that cardio isn't going to help you gain any lean mass per se. So if you want to have more toned biceps or bigger booty or even six-pack abs, all of those kinds of things where you want to see the muscle, cardio is not necessarily going to create or add to that muscle. So if you don't already have a good amount of lean mass, you're not going to really see this lean and toned look that you're going for. Cardio does not increase lean mass in the long run. In fact, it can even bring your lean mass down, which isn't going to help your body fat percentage. Again, we saw in the example that we just showed that increasing your lean mass, decreasing your fat mass is what we want to happen to achieve a leaner look, the lower body fat percentage. So a lot of times actually what happens with cardio is because your body wants to become more efficient, it wants to use less energy to do the same amount of work, you're going to get lighter. And one of the ways your body does that is by making your muscle smaller. And unfortunately, your body doesn't just shed all of the fat and keep all of the muscle, which is, I think, what we mostly hope would happen with cardio. The other problem with cardio is that it can be pretty challenging to achieve fat loss or even weight loss in general because you have to keep moving more and more and more as your body adapts. What's going to happen is you burn less and less calories over time, so you have to keep running for a longer amount of time or a higher intensity. You have to keep upping the game in order to see the same amount of calorie burn. So now we're going to talk about how lifting weights as a primary means of exercise is likely going to be your best bet to get the look you're going for. So it's pretty obvious that lifting weights is going to help increase your lean mass. And now this is actually part of the reason I think a lot of people don't go this route, because they think that increased lean mass equals jacked, bulky, huge, mass, all of these things that women likely don't want, and some guys don't really want to go for this look either, and that's totally fine because you want to look lean and toned, right? The truth is that muscle is essential for this look, and you're not going to get here unless you start really dialing in your diet, unless you take on a very specific training regimen, unless you start using supplements, unless you eat, breathe, and sleep lifting in the gym. This isn't going to happen by accident. So if you start lifting 3 times a week as a primary means of exercise, you'll see some really good results with your physique. And here is why. Not only are you going to increase your lean mass at a reasonable speed, you're also going to help decrease fat mass, more so than you may see even with cardio. So in any given training session with lifting weights, you're not going to burn a whole lot of calories in the 60-minute session. If I were to go run for 60 minutes, I would burn more calories doing that than I would lifting weights. But again, one, it's not just about calories burned, because again, we're trying to kind of change our composition of the body, right? So we're trying to increase muscle and lose fat. So it's not just burn that's going to get us there. But the other thing is that it's not just what's happening in that training session that matters. It's also what happens in the time following the bout of exercise. So after your 60-minute session of lifting weights, maybe you only burned 200 calories, which isn't negligible, but it's not quite as much as you might burn in 60 minutes of cardio. But the cool thing about lifting weights is that after your training session, your RMR, your resting metabolism, increases. And this is huge. So some research has shown that up to 48 hours, your metabolism is increased as a result of lifting weights. And here is why. When you break down muscle, your body has to rebuild. And that process of rebuilding is pretty metabolically expensive, meaning it uses a lot of calories. So not only that, but if you think about it, in order to build new mass on your body, your body's energy currency is calories, right? So that mass is going to have to come from somewhere, and it's going to come from the food you're eating, which is going to help contribute to a calorie deficit, which is what we need for fat loss. Okay, so we've determined that with lifting weights, your body burns calories as a result of the repair process. But there's also one other thing. So it's known as EPOC, or excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. So this is something that happens with most anaerobic activity. So anaerobic exercise would be something like high-intensity interval training, like sprinting, or lifting weights. But following that process, your body has to recover. Your body's always trying to come back to its normal state called homeostasis. So your body is going to increase your oxygen consumption following the anaerobic activity, which all contributes to a higher metabolic rate. So again, EPOC contributes to the increased RMR just as much as the repair process. So 2 reasons why lifting weights is going to contribute to increased calorie burn over cardio. Now, one final thing that I want to clarify or talk about is the word toned. If you notice, I have it in quotes here, and I've kind of been smiling every time I said it. And part of the reason is because this is just like a made-up thing. Getting toned really just means fat mass goes down, while the muscle either stays the same or goes up, which is what we've been talking about this whole time. That's getting lean, that's improving your body composition, that's a lower body fat percentage. All of these are the same thing. Toned is just I think a nice, easy way of saying this is what you really want. The other thing I want to address is bulky. So that kind of goes hand in hand with tone, because most women want to get toned and they don't want to get bulky. Those are like the most common things that come out of a female's mouth when it comes to their fitness goals. Now, bulky is what I would describe as someone who has a lot of muscle, or maybe they've increased their muscle, but they haven't yet nailed down this fat loss part. So if you feel like you're someone who uses weightlifting and you're just not seeing the results you want, I would encourage you to really dial in your diet, and that's where this comes in. Diet is going to be huge for really ensuring that you don't get bulky and that we increase the muscle while also decreasing the fat mass to really kind of get that physique that we're going for. So I hope all of this has been helpful. I definitely plan on doing more videos. We'll talk more about all of this stuff in the future. We'll talk more about metabolism, how to dial in your diet, what kind of lifting program to do, because not all resistance training is created equal. We'll talk about all this. Ask any questions you have. I'd love to hear your comments. Stay tuned for more. Stay strong.